So it is lecture number 19, and here we will talk about independent random variables. So coming to outline of today's lecture, first I will give a glimpse of joint and separated random variable, just glimpse, or we can say that it is a recap in order to refresh our idea of visualizing joint random variable. Because I told that from the joint random variable, we try to see the independency, how independency is coming. So those perspectives. So for, at hand, somehow we will calculate joint probability, and from there we try to find marginal probability, we try to find conditional probability, and we'll see the relation between conditional probability and marginal probability, and we'll talk about the dependency or independency among those random variables. So that's where I'm giving one glimpse, just one slide I will talk about. After that, I will introduce the notion of independency between any two random variable, and that can be generalized to further various random variable. And at last, I will talk about one interesting kind of approach to simulate probability. So estimation of probability by simulation we will talk about. And here I will mention that if you are trying to define distribution of any kind of probabilistic event, then if you try to simulate it, then you can start with the uniform continuous random variable. But we haven't discussed continuous random variable till now. So just I will give a glimpse, a hint. After that, in next class onward, first that distribution we will discuss in continuous random variable. That would be uniform continuous random variable. This uniform discrete random variable we had already seen that. So in next category we will see uniform continuous random variable. So coming to the first part, that joint and separated mapping of random variable x and y. Joint means x and y are coming together, and separated means individually we are dealing x and y. So that those things we'll discuss. So I told that consider a random experiment. There we are defining two random variable x and y, and we know that domain would be against that's a complete sample space, and also we are defining their joint behavior as a joint random variable x and y. When we are calling joint behavior, that means we observe x and y together, simultaneous occurrence of x and y. Then these random variable, we can say that these are simply a mapping from the sample space to R, and it is what it is one dimensional mapping, and this would be a two dimensional function of two variable kind of things. This would be function of two variable kind of things. Anyone any having any question? No. Okay, fine. So we can visualize it like this way. So this is your sample space. You perform an experiment, and from there you got a sample space that we denoted by omega. And if you are defining these random variable x, y, and joint random variable x and y, then with respect to each outcome omega, you can always define a random variable x. This one, this would be random variable x. That means omega has been mapped to real number t. Uh, Another random variable y, that means same omega, outcome omega has been mapped to another real number u under the map y. And now if you try to map joint activity of x and y, then by the mapping joint activity of x and y, we can observe that jointly omega has been mapped to t comma u. That is the joint occurrence of x and y, that is joint activity we are calling it. So when you are talking about joint occurrence, then always what you will get a planar region, that the value of all those value of joint value of the random variable x y, it will define a planar region. So that's why xy plane you are getting it. This is the visualization of joint and separated individually. You can look into it, that axes will be created by what we call individual random variable, and if you take axis in together, that means you just perform Cartesian product. Joint means what? Cartesian product of order pair, collection of all order pair, and it is defining the complete plane, 2D space, what we are calling it. So just here, that one was the glimpse. Now we will talk about main content of this lecture, that independency. That means if you are having any two random variable x and y, then how we can define independency. So you had already seen the notion of independency among the events. So that events, that means if you are taking two events, then various notion of independence you can define it, and the same idea you can borrow from this definition of independency to this joint occurrence of x and y. So what was the definition of independent event? if you are having two event A and B, then we try to calculate joint probability of A and B. So if we say that it would be independent if joint probability of A and B is equal to product of the corresponding probability. This one is the very basic definition of independency. But if you try to see from the what we call it observation point of view, or simply what we call it layman point of view, then we can say that occurrence of A, if occurrence of A doesn't affect the occurrence of B, then simply we can say that A is independent of B and vice versa. That one is the observational approach. But if you try to compute that observation through mathematics, then mathematically we define independent notion of independence through this way. That means we try to calculate joint probability, and if we see that that one is equal to product of the individual probability of the event, then we say that it is both are independent to each other. There was one more notion of independency was with respect to conditional probability. So if you try to find conditional probability of A given B, condition on B, and you see that this probability, conditional probability, is equal to the prior probability, the probability of A itself, then that means happening of B first is not going to affect the happening of A, and hence we can say that it is a very true definition. So this one is the very true mathematical representation of two independent events. So we can say that if happening of A is not altering the probability of happening of A, then simply we can say that A is independent of B. So it is directly borrowed from the definition. So you can say that this one is very much near to observational explanation of independent event. Same thing we will borrow it from joint random variable. So how we will define? We will see it here like this way. So consider two random variable, both are associated to each same random variable, same random experiment. So two random variables, we will consider it independent if and only if the event determined by one are independent of the event determined by the other. That means what you do randomly. We know that here I am talking about discrete random variable only. So discrete random variable, what it is taking value from the discrete set. Thus range of random corresponding random variable, it would be a discrete set. It is a discrete set. So discrete set is having what a sequential approach. Either it is a finite approach. That point of that, better take notation K here, and sometimes it may be sample size. That's why K notation looks better. So always you can put observed value of X in the form of sequence, and likewise also Y is discrete, so you can put observed value of Y in the form of a single sequence. It may be finite, it may be infinite, depends upon what situation is there. It would be Yk. So we know that each Xk is defining a pre-image in sample space. If you try to look into sample space, that I had already discussed that. Here Xk will define Ak. It is an event in the sample space. That means collection of some possible outcome. It is a subset of omega. And this one also introduce another call it Bk. Another event in the same sample space. We see the commonness between X and Y, that both are mapping back to the same sample space, because both are associated with the same experiment. Then sample space is not going to change. So I'm talking about from that perspective, that two random variable are considered independent if and only if the event, that means Ak, event determined by one variable are independent of the event determined by other. That means with respect to each value of X, you are defining an event like Ak, and likewise also for each value of Y, you are defining event Yk. If each Ak is independent of each Bk, then we can say that the corresponding random variable would be independent to each other. So this definition is directly borrowed from the independency of what event. So that's way it is not good, not applicable. Why? Because it is not having a mathematical representation. So we will go for look for another definition of independency. So what is the from the computational point of view? So we say two random variable x and y it would be independent if the joint property of x and y can be written as the product of individual property mass function. Joint property mass function of x, y, if it can be written as a product of individual property mass function of x and y for each value of x, y, then we say that these two random variable happens to be independent to each other. So more interesting way, we can same thing we can say it like this way. Suppose someone is observing y first, and after that that person is coming with conditional property of x given y, and that property mass function of x given y, it happens to be the same the property mass function of x. Then in that case we are saying that observation that the condition through which we observe y first, it is not going to affect the x. That means that one there is an independency between x and y. So simply that scenario, if someone is observing x first or y first, if it is not going to alter the conditional property, then simply we say that x and y are independent to each other. So this definition is more useful from computational point of view. This one is this one is more useful from computational point of view, and it is a computed approach. If you try to see from the observation point, this is the definition, and this is notion of independency of two random variable from the computational point of view, or mathematical. Simply we can say that mathematical. Coming further, intuitively, independent means that the experimental value of y tells nothing about the experimental value of x. That means once you observe the experimental value of y, it is not going to provide any information regarding the values of y. Okay, x, values of x, it won't provide. So that is the intuitive meaning of independent, notion of independent. So consider two events. So now I will talk about simplest and first example of two independent random variable, and this would be easiest one. Simplest, or I would like to say easiest example of simple. That means independent random variable. What you do? Take any two event, and suppose those two events are independent to each other. So that notion it is directly coming from elementary probability, that we can see that we are taking two events, both happens to be independent to each other. Now with respect to a, define indicator function I, and now similarly with respect to b, define another indicator function ib. Okay, definitely I and ib both are different, and we know that ia is what? It is a Bernoulli random variable. Each indicator function is a Bernoulli random variable. It is taking only two value, either 0 or 1. Now anyone may suggest what would be the probability of success, what would be the parameter for IA? Anyone? Tell what? Yes, I'm asking what is the parameter for IA? Yeah, it is a Bernoulli distribution. Then every Bernoulli distribution is characterized by probability of success, that P. We are calling it is parameter. So what is the probability of success for IA? Bernoulli distribution would be clear to you if you know the probability of success. If you don't know, then what is meaning of that? So that's why what would be probability of success here? What would be parameter? Always you might have already seen that in several notation. Whenever I am saying that Bernoulli something is Bernoulli random variable, then always I introduce probability of success P. So what is P here? For I here? Any idea? Just try. P. Then what is that? That P is not given here. At hand you are having event A and B. You know about event A and event B, and also you are having information that A and B are independent to each other. So that information. C, A and B, and from there try to find the uh, parameter of Bernoulli random variable IA. What would be that probability? P, probability of success. That means here we are putting it P. What is this P? What would be this P? Probability of success. You are at hand you are having A and Not getting. It is very simple. It would be probability of A, because 1 is associated with what? That means all those outcome which are from A. So that means if outcome is happening from event A, then indicator function IA will map that outcome to 1. So that's why if something is happening from A, that will account probability of success. That would be probability of A. So probability of A would be a probability of success. That would be parameter of IA. Likewise, for this second one, IB, it would be a Bernoulli random variable. Sometimes you can denote it PER only. What would be probability of success? For this, probability of success would be B. So always try to calculate parameter from the given thing. So at hand you are having A and B only. That means you know about A and B. That means you know about what is the probability of A. You know about what is the probability of B. Okay, so IB is also a Bernoulli random variable with another parameter, the probability of B. So that's why I and B, IA and IB both are different random variable, because both are having different parameter, different probability of success. Okay, now we will talk about IA and IB. So definitely, if you try to find inverse image of IA in the sample space, it would be A, and inverse image of B would be B, and we know that A and B are independent. So simply we can, from this explanation, we can say that indicator function IA and IB both would be independent to each other. Both are independent Bernoulli random variable. Simplest example, without taking explicit form, easily we can get such kind of example. This one is a very basic example. So we will talk further. So I will talk that independence of a random variable from another random variable. It is another generic approach that we try to generalize it from that notion of indicator function. So what you take? So this notion of indicator function, again, it is again coming with respect to that discrete nature of the sample space. I told that x is a discrete random variable. So x will take what kind of value? It will take discrete value. That means a sample corresponding range would be what? Discrete. So just to make something different, we denote this range of x as a single sequence tk. We denote it by tk. We are changing the notation. Xk you can put it, there is no issue. And y is also a discrete, so y is taking value in discrete fashion. So range of y, we denote it omega y, and it can be written as uk due to discrete fashion. Okay, so each t1 is introducing an event in sample space that we are calling it ak. Each tk is introducing a event in sample space ak. Likewise, each uk is introducing one event in partition. Also you can say that partition in sample space, member of partition in sample space, that we denoted bk. Okay, now with respect to each ak you can define indicator function. With respect to each bk you can define an indicator function. And hence if you are taking any random variable f and just observe the value of that random variable, so always you can define ak. With respect to that you will get indicator function. So you can decompose x as a sum of the weighted sum of, simply say weighted sum of indicator function, because each indicator function is a random variable and weighted sum, or the weight is decided by the observed value of x. So weighted sum of what? This indicator function, and we know that each indicator function is what? A Bernoulli random variable. And if you take any two indicator function, both are independent to each other. So if you apply the idea of independency notion, easily you can you know that it is very easy to deal with Bernoulli random variable, and by using the criteria you can easily calculate whatever things, if you want to calculate mean, if you want to calculate variance, if you want to calculate anything else, then easily from this representation it is very easy to calculate. So what we do, it is one kind of, we are saying that we decomposing any random variable in term of indicator function, or in term of, simply we are saying that Bernoulli random variable. So if you take any discrete random variable, always you can decompose that discrete random variable as a weighted sum of some Bernoulli random variable. And you may ask one question, sum, how many Bernoulli random variable would come there? So anyone give idea how many Bernoulli random variable would be there? How you can account that? Any idea? With respect to a discrete random variable, how many Bernoulli random variable you can get, so that you can decompose X as a weighted sum of those Bernoulli random variable? Any idea? Anyone know that? No. It is very simple. Just see how many observed value X is having. So that is counting. Just that means find the cardinality of range of X. Find the, if it is having n number of, then we will observe n number of Bernoulli random variable as an indicator function. Likewise, if suppose y is having m number of observed value, then we will observe m number of Bernoulli variable as an indicator function. So y also it can be decomposed like this way. And here the definition of AI and BJ, it is defined like this way as an inverse image. This is the definition of inverse image. That several times I had already told that. So what is happening, that you are decomposing X as a weighted sum of Bernoulli random variable. Y is also a weighted sum of Bernoulli random variable. Now we had already seen that if you are talking about independency between Bernoulli random variables, so you have to look back into pre-images, that corresponding event. If those are independent, then simply we can claim that the corresponding Bernoulli random variable would be independent. So likewise, so here, so X and Y, it would be independent when each pair is independent. That means if each AI is independent of each BJ. If each AI is independent of each BJ, then we can say that X and Y would be independent to each other. This one is deep down inside, you try to look the independency from the event perspective. So that is the approach. So these two random variables are independent to each other if for each permissible pair, that means a possible pair only, possible pair ij of index, this would be index. So I, with respect to I we will get aj, with respect to j we will get bj, are independent. So random variable would be independent if each AI is independent of bj. That means how we define that independency, we define it simply joint occurrence of probability of a joint occurrence of AI and bj is just product of the individual probability. Or you can take that conditional notation, that means conditional probability of AI given bj is just equal to the probability of AI. So just you are defining independency of random variable from the independency of what we call it event. So further I will talk about in generalization perspective. Consider two random variable x and y and any two sets m and n. So m is containing what? M is containing few observed value of x. N is containing few observed value of y. Any, I am talking about any two set. So m may take all value of observed value of x, or m may take no observed value, empty. It may empty. So it depends upon. So it is free kind of things. Okay, such that, so if you try to find the inverse image of m cross n, so it can be discussed inverse image, and under the joint activity of x and y, we can say that it is defined as a joint inverse image of x and joint inverse image of y. So jointly you can define it like this way. It is more set theory definition, not like that. So further say all these things again I am saying it. So then x and y would be independent if and only if you try to find the probability of inverse image of this one is expressed like this. So if you're trying to find inverse image of any rectangular region under the joint occurrence, then that would be just equal to product of inverse image of the individual one. In product, it is probability of inverse image of m into probability of inverse image of n under y. So this is the further again it is again defined in term of probability. So it is very generic approach to define in notion of independent. Here there is no, I haven't decomposed x and y in the term of Bernoulli. This one is a little bit more set theoretic definition. This one is a practical one. It looks practical and decomposition approach is coming here. So decomposition you will later learn a lot, because decomposition is really very interesting technique to give what visualization of any complex problem in the trying to decompose a complex problem into simplest one. So that is the approach. So I will take here one example. I have taken various example here. First example here I will talk about notion of independency between two random variables. So here I will take two random variable and we will see whether those two are independent or not. Okay, so consider this set of points in a grid. So we are having two-dimensional grid, and the grid is defined in such a way those points are just integer points. So x, y are coming from integer number. We are not taking any rational number. So and what is the those points are uh, defined by this inequality. So if I'm asking, would you like to plot the graph of this one, what could be this? Anyone know that? Plot the graph of this, and what you do from there, just take integral point only. Don't go for real point. Don't go all those lines, only take you will definitely get region. In region we have to take just discrete points, integral point only. So if you someone is willing to visualize, you can visualize it like this way. So these are the point. So this diamond shape you will get, this diamond shape. So these are the possible points. So you can count how many points would be there. You can count it. So in G, definitely finite number of points. So G is if G is having finite number of points, so simply we can say that G is a finite set or countable set simply. So how many points you can say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 total. In total 13 points we observe here. 13 points. Now anyone may say that what is the probability of this point? What is the probability of choosing this point 0, 2? Yeah, nice. Because no assumption is given here by default. You may consider uniform law, uniform distribution. That's way. No information simply. If no information is given by default, take it. If it is simple, definitely we apply uniform principle, uniform law. So probability of that selecting 0 to 0.02, it would be 1 by 13, rightly answer. So that's why by default we our starting that distribution happens to be always, I say that it always happens to be uniform distribution. So we pick a we pick a point xy from the grid completely at random. We are here, see the selection. We are picking a point from this grid completely at random. What does it mean? We are doing random sampling, and here that means each point is equally likely. So this condition is itself, it is saying equally likely assumption that each point has a probability 1 by 13 of being chosen. Each probability is 1 by 13. Now tell me what would be the joint distribution of x and y? Anyone? What would be the, here you are having two random variable, one x, another y. X is taking value along the x-axis, y is taking value along the y-axis. But here G is defined jointly. So tell me, what do you need to calculate joint probability? using multiplication rule, or simply by default you can calculate joint property of x and y. So what would be joint property of x and y? That means, what is the property mass function of joint property mass function? Anyone? Just calculate from the observation. You apply observation alone. So easily here, this idea, this sampling at random, it is talking about the joint equally likely situation. So joint property mass function of x or y would be 1 by 13 if you are taking x y from G. Okay, it will come later. A space crunch is there. So joint probability, simply you can say that it would be equal to 1 by 13 if xy is coming from the grid G. If xy is not coming from the grid G, the joint probability will take value 0, and hence it is satisfying all the properties of probability mass function. So this joint probability, it is an legitimate probability mass function. It is 0 otherwise. If xy is not coming from the grid, otherwise. Okay, so this is the joint probability mass function. So you are having information about joint probability mass function, then definitely question would be there. You have to in order to see the independency of x and y, you have to calculate marginal probability mass function, you have to calculate conditional probability mass function. All those you have to calculate from this joint probability mass function. So you at hand you are having joint probability mass function. From there you have to calculate joint probability. I have already calculated. You have to calculate marginal probability mass function of x and y. Then you have to calculate conditional probability of x and y also, if you want willing to see. Then third, you have to establish, you have to verify that whether x and y are independent or not. That you have to verify it. After calculating all those probability mass functions, then you will verify that. So that is the approach here. So here calculation is coming like this way. From the grid G, each point is equally likely because selection happens to be at random, so that's why equally likely and discrete, and hence the joint probability mass function, it can be given by just uniform principle. It would be 1 by 13 when x is coming from the grid, and it will take the value 0 when xy is coming from outside G. So it will take 0. So that this is the joint probability mass function of x and y. Now, next, from the joint probability mass function, we have to derive marginal probability mass function and conditional probability mass function. First, we will derive marginal probability mass function of y. So, how we define it? So, what you do, you can see that minus 2 and 2 are symmetric in nature. Both are symmetric in nature. So, both will have, if you will have probability 1 by 3 and see in the graph. From the graph it will be, so if j you are taking minus 2, probability would be 1 by 13. If j you are taking 2, probability would be 1 by 13. Now if you are taking j equal to minus 1, minus 1 is associated with, just a calculator. So how you calculate in this calculate probability of from the domain grid, you have to see only. So you have to marginalize with respect to x, marginalize with respect to x. So if you are willing to calculate joint probability mass function for y equal to uh, minus 2 is very simple, that would be terminal point, so it is easy to calculate. If you calculate marginal probability mass function of y for y equal to 1, so it would be what? So you have to sum with respect to x. Sum with respect to x. X varies from where to where? X will vary from minus 2 to joint probability mass function of what? X. Y we have fixed, only x is varying. x minus 1. What would be this value? How many x you are, once you are fixing y equal to 1, how many value of x you observe along that horizontal line? Along the horizontal line, minus y equal to minus 1. What was the shape of this grid? It was what? It was diagonal shape. So it is just plot of what we call it, mod x plus mod y. So where is y equal to minus 1? So it is going, this one is just plot of mod x plus mod y, because reversible is not possible in this slide during recording mode. This one is, this point is 2, this point is 2, this point is 2, this point is minus 2, this point is minus 2, this point is minus 2 negative, that you know that. So this line, it would talk about y equal to minus 1 with respect to my, if you are fixing this one, how many value of x you observe? Anyone? The plot is very simple, whether is it clear? Yeah, 3 value. So each point is, so 3 point you observe, so that means each point is having equally likely probability 1 by 13. So what would be probability of y equal to minus 1? Just answer quickly. What would be this? Yeah, nice, 3 by 13. That's why this value 3 by 13 is coming. 3 by 13 is coming. So you can calculate, and probability of if you are calculating for j equal to minus 2, so what would be here? J, where is j equal to minus 2? For j equal to minus 2 line, that y equal to, you have to draw a line y equal to minus 2. Along this line you observe only one x value of x, so only one point is having probability 1 by 13, so that's why you are getting this. And for j equal to minus 1 1, for each minus 1 you are getting 3 value, like for y equal to 1 you will get 3 value, this point, this point, this point, so that's why probability would be 3 by 13. If you take j equal to 0, the line j equal to 0, how many points you will observe? For j equal to 0, this is the line j equal to 0, that means y equal to 0, this is the line y equal to 0. X axis always we are calling it y equal to 0. For y equal to 0, how many value of x you observe from the grid? Any answer? 5. One point would be this one, another 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 point would be this one. That's why 5 by 13 is coming. So probability of j equal to 0 is 5 by 13. And if you take j other than this value, then what would be that? Probability would be 0. So this is the probability mass function of y. Now tell me what would be the probability mass function of x? Do you need to calculate probability mass function of x, or directly you can calculate from the probability mass function of y? Any idea? There is a very interesting pattern here in diamond. In diamond you can observe very interesting pattern. What pattern is that? With respect to this diamond, what pattern you observe? I told that if you really want to learn mathematics, you have to be very good in observation. What pattern you observe here? Yeah, very nice, it is symmetric. So that's way you can see that the diamond is symmetric about x-axis, also it is symmetric about y-axis. So from that symmetry you can say that the probability mass function of x would be the same. So if you try to define probability mass function of x, so replace this y by x and you will get the same structure. The probability mass function of x would have same you can get it here. So that's why I have written it. And you can calculate like this. When this one is the unified approach, unification of this one we have put in the unified form. So people always like unified form. Branches, actually branches, it is taking a space, and yeah, branches, this look complex, but it is taking a space. But unification, it is inherited something. So that's why probability mass function of that marginal probability mass function of x would be the same. Easily you can calculate. So at hand now you are having joint probability mass function, you are having conditional probability joint probability mass function, and marginal probability mass function. So what you do you need to calculate conditional probability mass function through that observational approach, or just apply the definition of approach of multiplication rule? Which method you would go? So at hand you are having two things, and you know from the multiplication rule that joint probability you can calculate it uh, how, as a product of marginal probability and conditional probability. That means suppose someone is observing y first, so that person will calculate joint probability of xy as a product of what, uh, probability mass function of x. Sorry, here y is observing first now, so we are probability mass function of y into probability mass function of x given y. So from here you can derive it that if someone has already observed y, then in order to calculate conditional probability mass function of x given y, it would be just ratio of joint probability mass function of x and y and probability mass marginal probability mass function of y. So this, through this you can easily calculate. So here calculate it. So we are calculating joint probability mass function of x given y for y equal to 1. So if you try to simplify, what value we are getting? 1 by 3 for I equal to minus 1 0 1. Okay, so if you try to calculate, so we are getting 1 by 3. So easily we can say that the conditional random variable x given y equal to 1, it is uniformly distributed with probability 1 by 3. Probability of success is 1 by 3, uniformly distributed. But if you try to look into x for same the value of x, we see that x is not uniformly distributed in marginal perspective. It is, it is having a complicated distance. You can see that uh, for minus 1 1 x is having 3 by 13, and for 0 x is having 5 by 13. So this one definitely it is not uniform. It is not uniform distribution. So marginal distribution of x is not uniform, but conditional distribution of x is uniform. So and hence we can say that both probability mass function will be definitely not equal to each other. So